She was nothing but a maid in her own home, ignored, unloved, and invisible. But when a billionaire walked in and chose her over the proud, perfect stepsister, everything changed. What happens next will leave you speechless. I sat in the corner of our small sitting room, silently watching as my stepmother, Madame Naomi, paraded her daughter, Bella, in front of our guests. The way she laughed, the way she adjusted Bella's jewel, the way she proudly introduced her to the billionaire visitor, it was clear she had already planned the wedding in her head. "Ah, Chief Cuckoo, welcome. You must have heard of my daughter, Bella. She just graduated from the university. Very beautiful, very well-mannered," she said, beaming. I was invisible. As always. Bella, my stepsister, wore a dazzling blue lace gown, her makeup perfectly done, her gold earrings sparkling under the chandelier. She was beautiful, no doubt. But I knew Bella. She was arrogant, entitled, and heartless, just like her mother. I, on the other hand, wore a simple Ankara gown. My face was bare, no makeup, no jewelry. No one ever bothered to dress me up. I was the maid in my own home, the unwanted orphan my father left behind when he died. Chief Cuckoo was a man of power, a billionaire businessman in his late 40s. His presence filled the room, his tailored white kaftan making him look even more regal. He had an aura of authority, but there was kindness in his eyes as he scanned the room. Then, his gaze settled on me. I quickly lowered my eyes. I wasn't supposed to be noticed. I wasn't supposed to exist in these moments. Madame Naomi continued, laughing loudly. "Chief, Bella is the jewel of this house. Please, let's go inside and talk. I know why you're here." Chief Cuckoo raised a brow. "Oh, you do?" "Yes, of course. A man of your caliber doesn't just visit any home. You're here to ask for my daughter's hand in marriage, aren't you?" She giggled, already picturing herself as the mother-in-law to a billionaire. Bella smiled proudly, flipping her long hair. "Chief, I must say, I'm flattered," she said, her voice laced with confidence. But what happened next shocked everyone. Chief Cuckoo cleared his throat and looked directly at me. "Actually, I'm here for her." Silence. Dead silence. For the first time in my life, my stepmother looked at me. Not as a servant. Not as an invisible girl. But as a threat. Her face twisted in shock. What?" Chief Cuckoo smiled. "Yes. I have come to ask for her hand in marriage." He pointed at me. The tray I was holding slipped from my hands, crashing to the floor. Bella gasped. Madame Naomi's mouth fell open in disbelief. I felt my heart pound in my chest. Was this a joke? A mistake? Why would a billionaire want me? My stepmother's eyes darkened with rage. "No. This cannot be," she hissed. But Chief Cuckoo was unmoved. He turned to me, his voice gentle. "Adanna, will you marry me?" I looked around, my lips trembling. Was this a dream? But before I could answer, Madame Naomi's furious voice cut through the air. Madame Naomi's voice echoed through the room, sharp and filled with fury. "Over my dead body." The tension was suffocating. Bella's face twisted in shock, her hands trembling as she clutched her gown. The tray I had dropped lay in pieces on the floor, reflecting the shattered reality of my stepmother's expectations. Chief Cuckoo, however, remained unfazed. His deep eyes stayed locked on me, waiting for my response. But I had none. I was still trying to understand what was happening. Me? A billionaire wanted to marry me? "Chief, you must be mistaken." Madame Naomi forced a laugh, though her eyes burned with anger. "You mean Bella, right? She's the perfect wife for a man like you." Chief Cuckoo's voice was firm. "No. I mean Adanna." Madame Naomi's hand clenched into a fist. "What do you see in her? She's just a servant in this house. What can she possibly offer you that Bella cannot?" I flinched at her words. It wasn't the first time she had reminded me of my place, but this time, it hurt more. Chief Cuckoo's eyes softened as he turned to me. "Adanna, do you remember me?" My heart skipped a beat. Remember him? I searched his face, but nothing clicked. I had never spoken to a billionaire in my life. "No, sir," I said quietly, my voice barely above a whisper. He smiled faintly. You wouldn't. It was years ago. You were just a little girl then, selling oranges by the roadside. I froze. Selling oranges? Memories of my childhood rushed back, standing under the hot sun, barefoot, calling out to passing cars, hoping someone would buy from me. It was before my father died, before I became nothing but a maid in my own home. Chief Cuckoo continued. One day, you gave an orange to a hungry boy. A street beggar. You didn't know him, but you gave it to him anyway. A lump formed in my throat. I did remember that. I had given an orange to a starving boy outside the market. His clothes were dirty, and he looked weak. He had thanked me with tears in his eyes. That boy was me, Chief Cuckoo said. Gasps filled the room. Madame Naomi staggered backward. Bella's eyes nearly popped out of her head. I had given an orange to him? I stared at him, unable to speak. How was this even possible? Chief Cuckoo smiled. I never forgot that kindness. It was a small act, but it changed me. And now, I want to change your life too. Tears welled up in my eyes. I had spent my whole life being told I was worthless. That I was nothing. But here was a man, one of the richest men in the country, telling me that I had mattered. Madame Naomi suddenly snapped. She grabbed Bella's hand and shoved her forward. Bella is the one you should marry. She is beautiful. She has a degree. Not this nobody. Chief Cuckoo's face darkened. His voice was cold now. I am not a fool, Madame Naomi. I know exactly what kind of person Bella is. Bella's mouth fell open. What? You raised her to be selfish, entitled, and cruel. I watched from afar. And I would never marry a woman like that. Bella let out a sharp cry. You're lying. This is not happening. Madame Naomi turned to me, her eyes filled with hatred. You planned this, didn't you? You seduced him behind my back. My mouth opened in shock. No. I would never. Slap. Her palm landed hard across my face. The impact sent me staggering backward. I held my cheek, my body trembling. Enough. Chief Cuckoo's voice was like thunder. He stepped forward, his presence towering over Madame Naomi. If you ever lay a hand on her again, I will make sure you regret it. Madame Naomi opened her mouth, then closed it. Fear flickered in her eyes. She knew what kind of power he had. Chief Cuckoo turned back to me, his voice soft again. Adanna, the choice is yours. Will you marry me? Tears rolled down my cheeks. My whole life, I had been treated like nothing. Now, I was being given a chance at something more. But was this really happening? I swallowed hard, looking around at the faces filled with shock and anger. Then, I took a deep breath. And I gave my answer. Yes. The room went dead silent. Madame Naomi's lips trembled as she processed my words. Bella looked like she had been struck by lightning. Chief Cuckoo's eyes softened as he stepped forward. You said yes, he asked, his voice deep but gentle, as if he couldn't believe it himself. I swallowed hard and nodded, my hands shaking. Yes. I will marry you. Bella let out a sharp cry. No. This is a joke. You can't choose her over me. Look at her. What does she have? Madame Naomi grabbed my arm roughly, her nails digging into my skin. You little witch. You think you can steal my daughter's future? Chief Cuckoo's expression darkened. Let her go. His voice carried so much authority that Madame Naomi immediately released me, her hands shaking. You don't understand, she cried. Bella is the one meant for this life. Adanna is just a what? Chief Cuckoo challenged, his piercing eyes holding hers. Madame Naomi stammered, looking away. She doesn't belong in wealth. She's not good enough. Chief Cuckoo's lips curled into a smirk. And yet, it was her kindness that made me who I am today. Bella stormed forward, tears in her eyes. Chief, please. I can change. I can be humble, I can. He raised a hand, silencing her. A good heart is not something you wear like makeup, Bella. It is who you are at your core. And I have seen who you are. Bella gasped as if he had slapped her. Madame Naomi, realizing she was losing, quickly changed her tone. She forced a smile, her voice suddenly sickly sweet. Chief, my dear. You know we have always treated Adanna well. We love her like our own, she said, reaching for my hand. I snatched my hand away. Love. They had done nothing but make me a slave in my own home. Chief Cuckoo saw the pain in my eyes and turned to Madame Naomi. Then you will have no problem letting her go, will you? Madame Naomi hesitated, then forced a laugh. Oh, of course not. If this is what she wants, then we give her our blessing. But her eyes told a different story. They burned with hatred, promising revenge. Chief Cuckoo nodded. Good. Then, he turned to me. Come with me, Adanna. I looked down at my bare feet. I had no luggage, no clothes, nothing. This house had never truly been my home, yet I hesitated. What if this was all a dream? What if he changed his mind? Seeing my hesitation, Chief Cuckoo stepped closer and held out his hand. You have been trapped in a life of suffering for too long. Let me take you somewhere you belong. I took a deep breath and placed my hand in his. The moment our hands touched, I felt something shift. For the first time in my life, I was not invisible. As we walked toward the door, Madame Naomi let out a bitter laugh. You will regret this, Adanna. That man will leave you. He will throw you out like trash. I stopped at the doorway and turned back. No, stepmother, I said softly. You already did that. And with that, I walked away. The drive to Chief Cuckoo's mansion was silent. My heart pounded in my chest as I stared out of the tinted car window, watching the city lights blur past. Was this real? Was I really leaving behind years of suffering? Chief Cuckoo sat beside me, his presence calm yet powerful. He hadn't said much since we left the house, but his silence wasn't uncomfortable. It was as if he understood that I needed time to process everything. Are you okay? His deep voice finally broke the silence. I turned to him, my voice shaky. I don't know. A small smile tugged at his lips. I understand. I looked down at my hands, still unable to believe what had happened. I don't have anything. No clothes, no shoes, no education like Bella. What if I embarrass you? Chief Cuckoo's expression grew serious. Adanna, I didn't choose you for what you have. I chose you for who you are. You have something money cannot buy, a good heart. His words made my throat tighten with emotion. I had spent my whole life being told I was nothing. Now, someone was telling me I was enough. The car slowed as we approached a massive, golden gate. When it opened, my breath hitched. The mansion before me was like something out of a movie, tall, elegant, glowing under the night sky. Water fountains lined the driveway, and expensive cars sat parked neatly at the entrance. I swallowed hard. This was his world. Did I really belong here? A woman in uniform rushed forward as the driver opened my door. Welcome, sir, she greeted Chief Cuckoo with a bow before turning to me with a warm smile. Welcome, madam. I flinched at the word. Madam? No one had ever called me that before. Chief Cuckoo must have noticed my hesitation because he leaned in and whispered, You are no longer a maid, Adanna. You are a queen. My eyes stung with tears. As we walked into the mansion, I tried to take in everything, the grand staircase, the chandeliers, the golden decorations. It was overwhelming. This will be your home from now on, Chief Cuckoo said as we entered the lavish living room. You will never suffer again. I opened my mouth to thank him, but before I could speak, a sharp voice rang through the air. So, this is the girl you brought home? I turned to see a tall, elegant woman standing at the top of the stairs. Her makeup was flawless, her expensive jewelry glittering in the dim light. Her eyes, however, were cold. Mother, Chief Cuckoo greeted, his tone respectful but firm. Mother! My heart sank. His mother slowly descended the stairs, her sharp gaze never leaving me. This is the girl you chose. She looked me up and down with clear disapproval. I suddenly felt small again. She scoffed. You left all the wealthy, educated women in this country and brought home, her? I clenched my fists, my old fears returning. Maybe Madame Naomi was right. Maybe I didn't belong here. Chief Cuckoo stepped protectively beside me. Mother, this is Adanna. And she is my fiancée. His mother laughed bitterly. We'll see about that. The air turned ice cold. I had survived my stepmother's hatred. But now, I realized I was about to enter a new battle. Chief Cuckoo's mother slowly descended the grand staircase, her piercing gaze never leaving me. The expensive gold bracelets on her wrists jingled as she folded her arms. I swallowed hard. I could feel the weight of her disapproval pressing down on me. So, Adanna, she said, her voice smooth but sharp, tell me, what exactly qualifies you to be my son's wife? I opened my mouth, but no words came out. What could I say? That I had spent my life scrubbing floors. That I had been treated like a servant. That I had never dreamed of stepping into a world like this. Chief Cuckoo stepped forward, his voice firm. Mother, I didn't bring her here for an interrogation. She let out a small, bitter laugh. Interrogation? My dear son, do you think I would allow just anyone to walk into this family? She turned her sharp gaze back to me. Do you even know how to behave in high society? Do you know which fork to use at a formal dinner? Do you speak multiple languages? Do you have a degree? Each question was like a knife to my chest. I could feel my confidence crumbling. Chief Cuckoo's grip tightened around my hand. Mother, enough. His mother sighed dramatically and turned away. I have warned you, Cuckoo. If you marry her, you will regret it. She walked toward the hallway, but just before she disappeared, she added, and when she embarrasses you, don't say I didn't warn you. Silence filled the mansion. I lowered my head, shame washing over me. Maybe she was right. Maybe I wasn't good enough. Chief Cuckoo gently turned me to face him. Adanna, don't listen to her. You belong here. I bit my lip to stop the tears. But she's right. I don't know how to fit into this world. What if I make a fool of myself? He cupped my face, his eyes soft. Then I will teach you. You don't have to be perfect, Adanna. You just have to be you. His words wrapped around my heart like a warm embrace. Just then, a maid approached. Sir, dinner is ready. Chief Cuckoo smiled. Come, let's eat. I hesitated. Is your mother going to be there? His smile faded. Yes. But you are my fiancé, and you have every right to sit at that table. Taking a deep breath, I nodded. As we walked into the massive dining hall, my nerves nearly swallowed me whole. The table was covered in expensive dishes, glasses sparkling under the chandelier. Chief Cuckoo's mother sat at the head of the table, her expression unreadable. Sitting beside her was a woman I hadn't seen before. She was breathtakingly beautiful, with flawless dark skin and long braided hair. She wore a fitted red gown that screamed wealth and power. She smiled at me, but it wasn't a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who knew she was better. Chief Cuckoo's mother cleared her throat. Adanna, meet Amanda. She is the daughter of Senator Okafor. My heart skipped a beat. Chief Cuckoo stiffened beside me. Amanda leaned forward, her smile growing. Cuckoo and I have known each other for a long time, she said sweetly. I was so surprised when I heard he was engaged. Weren't we all, Mother? Chief Cuckoo's mother smirked. Indeed, we were. My stomach twisted. I suddenly had a very bad feeling. Amanda lifted her glass of wine. Well, since we're all here, let's have a toast to real love. Her eyes met mine, full of challenge. And in that moment, I realized this was war. I sat stiffly at the grand dining table, my hands resting on my lap as the tension in the room thickened. The expensive chandelier above cast a golden glow, but it did nothing to warm the icy atmosphere. Chief Cuckoo sat beside me, his presence steady and reassuring, but across the table, his mother and Amanda watched me like hunters circling their prey. Amanda lifted her glass of wine, her smile sharp as a blade. To real love, she repeated, looking straight at me. I hesitated, unsure if I should respond. My fingers tightened around the fabric of my dress. Chief Cuckoo's mother smirked. Amanda and my son have been close since childhood. She has always been part of this family. Amanda leaned forward, her red gown hugging her curves. Oh, we go way back, don't we, Cuckoo? Chief Cuckoo's jaw clenched. Amanda. His voice carried a warning. She laughed lightly. Relax. I'm just reminiscing. You remember the vacations in Dubai? The yacht parties in Greece? She turned to me, her eyes glittering with amusement. Oh, Adanna, you must let us take you someday. Have you ever traveled out of the country? I swallowed hard. I knew what she was doing, trying to make me feel small, unworthy of the world she belonged to. Before I could answer, Chief Cuckoo's mother sighed dramatically. I just don't understand, Cuckoo. You could have had anyone, and yet you bring home a girl with no class, no background, no. Mother, that's enough, Chief Cuckoo cut in sharply. His grip tightened on his fork. His mother arched a brow, feigning innocence. I am simply concerned. You are a man of status. You need a woman who can represent you. A woman with breeding. Amanda smiled, tilting her head. Exactly. Marriage isn't just about love, Cuckoo. It's about power, about legacy. Can she even fit into your world? I bit my lip, my heart hammering. I knew I was different. I wasn't raised in wealth. I didn't know how to hold a wine glass with elegance or make polite conversation about luxury brands and foreign vacations. But I also knew something else. I wasn't going to let them break me. I slowly lifted my own glass. My hands were shaking, but I steadied them. To real love, I said softly, meeting Amanda's gaze head-on. For a moment, the room went silent. Then, Chief Cuckoo smiled proudly. He lifted his glass. To real love. The power in my voice must have caught Amanda off guard, because her smirk faltered just a little. Chief Cuckoo's mother, however, was not impressed. She placed her napkin on the table and stood up. Excuse me. I have lost my appetite. With that, she swept out of the room. Amanda, still holding her glass, smirked. Don't take it personally, Adanna. You're new to all this. She took a sip, then added, let's just hope you can keep up. Something in her voice sent chills down my spine. I suddenly realized this wasn't just about disapproval. This was a warning. Amanda wasn't just here to intimidate me. She was here to destroy me. The rest of the dinner was quiet, but the tension was suffocating. Amanda smiled and chatted with Chief Cuckoo's mother like nothing had happened, but every glance she threw at me carried a silent warning. When the meal was finally over, Chief Cuckoo led me upstairs to a luxurious guest room. This will be your room for now, he said softly. I looked around, overwhelmed by the grand bed, the silk curtains, and the chandelier that hung from the ceiling. It was bigger than the entire room I had lived in at my stepmother's house. I turned to him, my voice uncertain. Cuckoo. Are you sure about me? He frowned. Why would you ask that? I swallowed hard. Your mother. Amanda, they don't want me here. And maybe they're right. Maybe I don't belong in this world. He stepped closer, gently cupping my face in his hands. Adanna, listen to me. You belong with me. I don't care about wealth or background. I care about you. His words sent warmth through my chest, but deep down, I knew it wasn't going to be that simple. Chief Cuckoo sighed and ran a hand through his hair. I'll handle my mother. And as for Amanda, his jaw tightened. She will try to make things difficult for you, but you have to be strong. I nodded, even though I wasn't sure how strong I could be. As soon as he left the room, I collapsed onto the soft bed. I should have felt relieved. Safe. But instead, my mind was filled with doubt. Just as I was about to fall asleep, I heard voices outside my door. Curious, I quietly got up and pressed my ear against the wooden surface. She won't last here. Amanda's voice was sharp and filled with amusement. Chief Cuckoo's mother sighed. I don't understand what spell she put on my son. He has always been so wise, yet he brings home this. Amanda let out a light laugh. Don't worry, mother. She won't be here for long. I held my breath, my heart pounding. Chief Cuckoo's mother hesitated. What are you planning? Amanda's voice lowered, but I caught her chilling words. I will make sure she runs away on her own. And when she does, Cuckoo will have no choice but to marry me. Terror gripped my chest. I backed away from the door, my hands shaking. They weren't just going to make my life difficult. They were going to destroy me. And if I wasn't careful, I might lose Chief Cuckoo forever. I stepped away from the door, my heart racing. They were planning to destroy me. Amanda's words kept echoing in my head, she won't be here for long. I clenched my fists. No. I wasn't going to let them win. I had already survived Madame Naomi's cruelty. I wasn't going to break now. But what could I do? I barely knew anything about this world. The luxurious halls, the expensive dinners, the silent battles fought with words and glances, none of it was familiar to me. I needed to be stronger. I needed to fight. The next morning. The sun was barely up when I heard a knock on my door. I quickly sat up. Come in. The door opened, and a maid entered, bowing slightly. Madam, Chief Cuckoo's mother has requested your presence for breakfast. My stomach twisted. This wasn't just breakfast. This was another test. I nodded. I'll be there. After quickly freshening up, I made my way to the grand dining hall. My simple Ankara dress felt out of place against the rich, gold-accented room. Chief Cuckoo wasn't there. Just his mother and Amanda. I swallowed hard. Here we go. Good morning, Ma, I greeted politely. Chief Cuckoo's mother barely looked at me. Sit. I obeyed, keeping my hands folded in my lap. Amanda smirked as she sipped her tea. You must be adjusting to the mansion life, Adanna. It must feel overwhelming. I met her gaze. I am grateful for everything. Chief Cuckoo's mother placed her teacup down. Amanda has agreed to help you adjust. I blinked. Help me. Amanda's smile widened. Yes, dear. I'll teach you how to be a proper wife for a man of Cuckoo status. My skin prickled. This wasn't a kindness. This was a trap. Chief Cuckoo's mother nodded. You will listen to Amanda. She knows this life better than you ever will. I gritted my teeth. I appreciate the offer, but... Amanda interrupted, leaning forward. It's not an offer, darling. It's a necessity. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. I suddenly realized what they were doing. They wanted to break me. To humiliate me. If I made mistakes, they would use them against me. If I refused to learn, they would call me unworthy. They had set a trap. And I had no choice but to walk into it. I sat at the dining table, my fingers gripping the napkin in my lap. Amanda sipped her tea delicately, her eyes glinting with amusement. Chief Cuckoo's mother sat at the head of the table, her posture stiff, her expression unreadable. You will listen to Amanda, she repeated, her voice like cold steel. I forced a polite smile. I appreciate the offer, Ma, but I can learn on my own. Amanda chuckled, setting her cup down. Oh, sweetheart, this isn't something you can learn on your own. High society has rules. She leaned in slightly, lowering her voice. One mistake, Adanna, and the world will laugh at you. You will humiliate yourself. And Cuckoo will see that you're not the woman for him. My stomach twisted, but I kept my face neutral. This was their plan. They wanted to overwhelm me, to make me feel like I didn't belong. If I doubted myself, it would only be easier for them to push me out. Chief Cuckoo's mother cleared her throat. You will begin today. I hesitated. Begin what? Amanda's smile widened. Oh, don't worry, darling. I have everything planned. Something in her voice sent a chill down my spine. Later that day, Amanda led me to a massive walk-in closet filled with designer clothes, heels, and accessories that looked like they belonged in a magazine. She folded her arms. Lesson 1, appearance is everything. She walked over to a mannequin wearing a tight, shimmering gown. Put this on. I looked at the dress and frowned. It's revealing. She rolled her eyes. We're not in the village, Adanna. This is how real women dress. I swallowed my discomfort and reached for the gown. I didn't want to give them the satisfaction of seeing me struggle. But as I put it on and stepped in front of the mirror, I barely recognized myself. The dress hugged my body too tightly. The heels Amanda handed me were too high, making it almost impossible to walk. I stumbled slightly, and Amanda let out a fake gasp. Oh no. You don't know how to walk in heels. I lifted my chin. I'll learn. She smirked. We'll see. For the next hour, she made me practice walking up and down the long hallway. Every time I wobbled, she would sigh dramatically. You'll embarrass Cuckoo at the next event, she said casually. I said nothing, but deep down, the doubt started creeping in. I wasn't like them. I wasn't polished, trained, or sophisticated. But I refused to let them see me break. That evening, when Chief Cuckoo returned, I was exhausted. I had spent the entire day under Amanda's sharp gaze, listening to her mockery disguised as advice. He found me sitting by the large window, my shoes abandoned beside me. Adanna. He sat next to me, concern in his eyes. Are you okay? I forced a smile. Just adjusting. He frowned. I know my mother and Amanda can be difficult. If they're making you uncomfortable, I'll put a stop to it. I shook my head. No. I need to learn. I need to prove that I can fit into this world. Chief Cuckoo sighed. You don't have to prove anything to them. I turned to him, my heart aching. But I have to prove it to myself. He studied me for a long moment, then gently took my hand. No matter what, Adanna, you are enough. His words warmed my heart, but deep down, I knew this battle was just beginning. Amanda and Chief Cuckoo's mother were watching, waiting, hoping that I would fail, and I could not afford to lose. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the unfamiliar gown, trying to ignore Amanda's smirk behind me. The fabric felt too tight, the heels too high, the weight of expectation too heavy on my shoulders. Amanda walked up, placing a manicured hand on my shoulder. You know, Adanna, she said sweetly, this world isn't for everyone. I met her gaze through the mirror, refusing to let her words break me. She leaned in slightly, her voice barely above a whisper. Sooner or later, Cuckoo will realize you're not cut out for this. I took a deep breath, squared my shoulders, and turned to face her. Then I'll prove him right, or I'll prove you wrong. Her smirk faltered just slightly before she tossed her hair back and laughed. Oh, this is going to be fun. Later that night, I sat by the balcony, staring out into the night sky. The wind was cool against my skin, but my mind was restless. Would I ever truly belong in this world? A deep voice broke through my thoughts. You look lost. I turned to see Chief Cuckoo standing there, watching me with concern. I sighed. It's just a lot. He sat beside me, his presence calming. I never wanted you to change, Adanna. I shook my head. I'm not trying to change. I don't want to be a woman you regret choosing. He reached for my hand, squeezing it gently. The only thing I would regret is losing you. My heart skipped a beat. Before I could respond, the door behind us creaked open. Amanda. She stepped onto the balcony, her red silk robe flowing behind her like a queen making an entrance. Oh, I didn't realize you two were having a moment, she said innocently. Cuckoo frowned. What do you want, Amanda? She pouted. So cold. I just wanted to check on Adanna. After all, she had such a long day. I stood up. I'm fine. She smiled, tilting her head. Are you? Because tomorrow, you'll be accompanying Cuckoo to a high-class charity event. You'll be surrounded by dignitaries, politicians, and business tycoons. My stomach twisted. I had barely survived today. And now, I was supposed to face an entire room of people like Amanda. She took a step closer. Don't embarrass yourself, darling. Chief Cuckoo stood as well, his jaw tight. She'll be fine. Amanda raised an eyebrow. Will she? She turned to me, her smile sharp. This is your first real test, Adanna. If you fail, let's just say, the world will see exactly why you don't belong here. She walked away, her laughter trailing behind her. I clenched my fists. Tomorrow would be my first step into their world. And I couldn't afford to fail. The grand ballroom shimmered with golden chandeliers and soft classical music. Guests in expensive outfits moved elegantly, sipping from their crystal glasses, their laughter polite and rehearsed. I stood at the entrance, my heart pounding. This was it, my first real test in Chief Dyke's world. His hand rested on the small of my back, reassuring. You look stunning, Adanna, he whispered. I had spent hours being dressed, my gown a rich emerald green, my hair styled in an elegant bun. But even in all this glamour, I still felt like an imposter. Amanda appeared at the top of the staircase, her fitted black gown hugging her curves perfectly. She walked toward us, her smile as sharp as ever. "Ah, Adanna," she said smoothly. "You actually clean up decently." I ignored her jab. Tonight, I couldn't afford to let her get to me. Chief Dyke's mother approached then, her expression unreadable. "The guests will be watching you closely," she said, her voice low. "One mistake, and you'll be the night's entertainment." I swallowed hard. Amanda smirked. "Just follow my lead, darling. I know this world better than you ever will." Then, without waiting, she strode into the crowd, effortlessly slipping into conversation with a senator's wife. I squared my shoulders. No. I wasn't going to let her intimidate me. Chief Dyke took my hand. "Ignore them, Adanna. Just be yourself." Easier said than done. The first few conversations were a blur. I smiled, nodded, answered politely, but I could feel the eyes on me. The silent judgment. The whispers behind painted lips. Then, as I reached for my drink, the unexpected happened. A woman accidentally bumped into me, sending my glass crashing to the floor. Gasps echoed. Amanda's laugh was soft but victorious. I felt my breath hitch. My first mistake. Chief Dyke's mother sighed. "So clumsy," she muttered under her breath. I bent down quickly, trying to clean up, but a waiter was already on it. My hands trembled as I straightened up. Amanda stepped closer, whispering in my ear, "You're making this too easy, darling." I gritted my teeth, forcing a smile. No. I wouldn't let them break me. Taking a deep breath, I turned to Chief Dyke. "Would you like to dance?" Surprise flickered in his eyes, but then he smiled. "Of course." The musicians started a slow tune as we stepped onto the dance floor. His arms wrapped around me, his warmth grounding me. "You're doing great," he murmured. But as I looked over his shoulder, I met Amanda's gaze. She wasn't smiling anymore. She had expected me to run. To break down instead, I was still standing. This wasn't just about proving myself. This was war. And I was ready.